Welcome to another edition of Chai with Molly, a show where we celebrate diversity the Canadian way. I am your host, and yes, I have been looking so much forward to seeing you. I hope you had a great week. After 3 years toiling as leader of the third party in Parliament and starting a grueling 11-week election campaign in third place, Justin Trudeau is set to be Canada's next Prime Minister. We want to begin this show by welcoming him and also by thanking Prime Minister Stephen Harper for his work and his contribution to Canada. We have in our studio a very special guest. He's going to give us his insight into the elections. We had a very, very dramatic election season, and the results were amazing and somewhat unpredictable because no one saw this coming, why it happened, and what it means for us as Canadians. Join me in welcoming Professor Philip Aliabo to the studio. Thank you so much for being here.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
All right, so what happened?
That's the million-dollar question. Everybody's asking the same question, what happened? Especially when we consider the fact that the Liberals started the race in third place. Mm-hmm. They were in third place and gradually made their way to the top. And I think they were able to sell their message to Canadians, to ordinary Canadians, with the tax cuts and child benefits and so forth. I think that really resonated with Canadians.
So what you're saying to me is that they were really able to connect their message and take their message to the people.
Absolutely. Social media was huge. They used social media very effectively to connect with college students, university students, the middle class, the working class, etc. And as I said before, the tax cuts, that was really huge. And as you know, we pay a lot of taxes in Canada. So if anybody is giving relief to the middle class, that's music to the ear.
Yes, and we know that more than 70,000 people, mostly youth, registered and voted at advanced polling stations, right? So what was it about the youth that resonated?
Mm-hmm. First of all, the candidate is a very young person. So again, that's a connection right there. Mm-hmm. And then, like I said, the message is clear. Mm-hmm. And for youth, they're thinking about jobs. Is the stomach politics, the jobs, the economy, and their future. Mm-hmm. And it seems the Liberals really sold that message, that there's hope. We're going to create a lot of jobs. We're going to cut taxes, and we're going to make sure that you have a bright future in this country.
All right. So let's talk a little bit about their economic plan that they have to run deficits for the next 3 years.
That's right.
Do you agree with that strategy?
Will
it really tell you do what it wants us, what they tell us it's going to do?
That's a very good point. And at this point, we don't know. Economics are really divided on this. And the plan is to run 3 deficits, as you said. But the plan is to stimulate the economy. And according to projection, I think there's just a projection coming out this last week that the Canadian economy will grow 0.1% next year, and then 0.3% in 2007. So we're talking about $10 billion split between infrastructure and healthcare and child benefit and all kinds of package for the middle class. So we are not really sure. The prediction is going to be good, but I think we should wait and see what happens.
All right. So this was the appeal of our new Prime Minister, a very good-looking young man.
Absolutely.
Let's talk about NDP. What happened there?
That's a very, their message just did not catch on. And the niqab issue really dampened people's expectations in that area. The NDP was the official opposition coming to this election, and we had hoped that at least their impact would be significant, but they weren't just able to connect with the youth. Once again, the youth is very important here. Niqab issue was part of it as well. The economic plan was not really feasible for the general public, and so somehow people didn't pay attention.
All right, well, he was offering a lot of goodies, like $15 a day for child care. Why did people not like that?
But that also $15 a day minimum wage for federal government workers. That's 1%. of the working population. So, so if you are working for state, for the province or for private, that doesn't impact you in any way. So excluding 99% is not good in politics because it's a game of numbers.
All right. So now let's talk about Prime Minister Harper. What happened with the Conservatives?
Well, a great question. The Conservatives, let me say this, Prime Minister Harper and his government for the past 10 years have done well. With the economy, they've done well. The economy, in spite of the recession, Canada's economy has held steady, has done well with security. The country is safe, etc. But the challenge with Stephen Harper is a perception issue. And this election is a referendum on Stephen Harper.
Yes.
And the perception is it's become very dictatorial, it's become very insensitive to the plight of the ordinary Canadians and so forth. But also take a look at the policy in terms of climate change was huge as well. Canada is the only country of all of the countries that belong to the Kyoto Protocol that pulled out and then stopped funding climate change research. In addition to that, he singled out environmentalists and audited them. And so people see all of this and say, well, this is really getting out of hand. To top it all, the Syrian refugee crisis, he has not embraced that initiative to bring Syrians over here. And people think this is un-Canadian because don't forget, we brought 1 million Vietnamese refugees here, and that's the Canadian spirit. So people saw that as a departure from what is.
But also, I think they failed in reaching out to a lot of communities because they focused on only certain communities and not all. I mean, Canada is so diverse. You know, Toronto is so diverse, and Prime Minister Harper was in Toronto a lot. He was seen on television, but he just, focused on just handful of communities, right? And yes. I think that was a mistake. And
you're very correct. That's a huge mistake. We have very selective politics. And of course, again, it's a game of numbers. You have to be inclusive. And so a lot of people, especially new Canadians that are looking for jobs, they're looking for stability, they want a great future for their children.
And they want a sense of belonging, right? They want to feel a part of this great country.
Absolutely.
Because this is what Peter MacKay said today. He said, and I quote, "Your party has to be a mirror of Canadian citizenship. We have to be an inclusive party. We can never give the impression that this is a party that is exclusive, that is anti this or pro that. We've got to be a broad-based party." Is this a good assessment of Peter MacKay?
Absolutely. It is a very good assessment, in my opinion, because it was exclusive, and again, especially new Canadians and ethnic as well, ethnicity might have been part of the equation as well. And so whenever you play that kind of politics, it's a very dangerous politics. And so you can see the outcome. The Liberals picked up 184 seats, and we were expecting at least a close race, but it wasn't close at all.
I know, that's what all the polls said.
It wasn't close.
That it was going to be very close race, and if at all, whoever wins is going to be a minority government, So all these polls were thrown out of the window.
Yeah, absolutely thrown out of the window. And this was the inexplicable, unpredictable election by far. And so you have to be inclusive in a multicultural country such as this.
That's right, because what happens is people want a sense of belonging.
Absolutely.
Especially when you become a citizen, you want to belong to this country, right?
Absolutely.
And then you want to participate in the political process.
Absolutely.
And I know many communities felt left out. They were not reached.
Absolutely.
So I think that was a huge mistake.
That was a huge mistake. So moving forward then, we hope that the Liberal government will actually deliver on its promises, because there's a lot of expectations on the shoulders of Justin Trudeau in terms of all of the promises he's made. This week, just moments after his election, he said he's bringing 25,000 Syrian refugees to Canada before the end of the year. And also pulled out Canadian jet fighters from Syria, bombing Syria, etc. So he's moving in the right path, but we wait to see how he will, fulfill his promises.
All right. So what do you foresee or predict would be the relationship between Canada and the United States under this new government.
And I think beyond the United States, as a matter of fact, he will restore Canada's image, because Canada's reputation is one of peacekeepers, not fighters. It's one of forward-looking country in terms of research, leading in those areas and so forth. But also with the relationship with the United States, it's going to improve quite a lot with the Keystone Pipeline project. And also trade project with the TPP as well, with the United States and other countries.
I know Tom Mulcair wanted to scrap this. Do you think he's going to keep it or honor the terms of this agreement, TPP?
We don't know. That's a mystery at this point. There's not a lot of information on that. So we are anxiously waiting to see what happens with that initiative with the new government in Ottawa.
All right. A year from now, what do you think we should be talking about? We would be talking about, considering everything that's happened. What do you predict?
Well, a year from now, there will be a lot of assessment of this new government. And one thing he has said is, again, to be very inclusive, is cabinet is going to be split on gender lines, which is a good thing, empowering women to take control and to express themselves in that way. That's very good. It's going to be held accountable to his promises quite a bit. And Canadians are very impatient in this regard. They want to see the tax cuts. And this is what he said. He's going to tax, his progressive tax model, that is, he's going to tax $200,000 and up those that earn that much money. And he's going to create a new tax bracket of 33%. That is significant for this bracket. And then, of course, in turn, give the tax break to the middle class, those that make $49,000 to $84,000. So people will be expecting that tax break, tax relief to come.
All right. What role do you anticipate the opposition will play or will be able to play, considering that he has this strong mandate?
Yes, he has a strong mandate, which is good for him, because that means he can pass a lot of his agenda, his program through Parliament. That's very good. The opposition, of course, is going to try to reclaim power the next time around, of course. So they're going to essentially make life difficult for him. But again, the good thing is he has mandate. And mandate in politics is very good, because that means you have people on your side and you can essentially pass your programs through the channels. But you should not expect it to be easy, because the Conservatives will play a key role in Parliament, a spoiler role in Parliament, with the hope of reclaiming power.
Or accountable, holding, because we need to hold people in authority accountable.
Absolutely.
Right? That's why we have opposition.
That's why you have opposition politics. And I believe the Conservatives, having been in power for 10 years, a decade, that's significant. They will try to get power back. And of course, so it's going to be a very interesting next few years in Ottawa. Very
All
interesting.
right, well, there you go. We have some very good things to look forward to. We have a really good-looking young prime minister, and the world is enamored by him. And, you know, he has been seen doing Bhangra. You know, did you see that?
Is that
Go just watch this.
Okay.
Okay, so there you go. So we have a very talented prime minister who's not afraid to venture into territories that no other prime minister has ventured into, right? So we have something really to look forward to.
Absolutely. And again, before the election, a lot of people were saying this is a very young politician, inexperienced and so forth. But again, so he's there to prove that, yes, I may not have been at that level, but I can fulfill my promises. I can lead Canada in the right way.
I'm sure he's going to have lots of advisors.
Yes.
And I think because he's inexperienced and he hasn't done this for a very, very long time, I'm sure he's going to seek the advice of people who are older than him or who are experienced in different areas, right?
Absolutely,
and we have lots of good people in this great country.
Absolutely.
And so it will do well to him as well as to our country for him to
yes, you're very correct.
listen to the advice of To his advisors, yes.
Absolutely, and he should, you're right, listen to advisors, but a key to success for this new government is to fulfill those promises that they've made. And again, because voters will not forget if he did not.
So then, can I ask you a question then? Because when President Obama was elected, he made lots of promises. Right?
Yes.
So the expectation was very high.
That's right.
Right? So, but he was not able to deliver those promises because, not because he didn't want to, but because it was just not possible. Right? So do you think he will face a similar kind of challenge?
Well, the landscape, the political landscape in the United States is totally different, as you know. There was a lot of gridlock. Now, the first term Obama had both the Congress, both houses of Congress, and so he had a lot. But there was a lot of politicking going on that sort of retarded the process. Not so here. Again, he has a mandate, and there's a lot of goodwill as well. And so I think I see Justin Trudeau really fulfilling, if not all, most of his promises, exactly because of the mandate he has.
All right, so thank you so much for coming. And there you go. We heard a really unique perspective, and now we know what we are going to look forward to in this great country. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
We have lots more for you. Don't go anywhere.
छोटा सा छोटी सी आशा मस्ती भरे मन की भोली सी आशा चांद तारों को छूने की आशा आसमानों में उड़ने की आशा दिल है छोटा सा छोटी सी आशा मस्ती भरे मन की भोली सी आशा चांद तारों को छूने की आशा आसमानों में उड़ने की आशा
दिल है छोटा सा छोटी सी आशा
महक जाऊं मैं आज तो ऐसे फूल बगिया में महके जैसे बादलों की मैं उड़ कुछ दरिया झूम जाऊं मैं बन के बावरिया दिल है छोटा सा छोटी सी आशा मस्ती भरे मन की भोली सी आशा चांद तारों को छूने की आशा आसमानों में उड़ने की आशा
दिल है छोटा सा छोटी सी आशा मस्ती भरा मन की भोली सी आशा
दिल है छोटा सा छोटी सी आशा
You're singing दिल है छोटा सा
Hey Sean, why worry? The documents are taken care of by Mr. Nanda. Hi Priya. Just call Mr. Nanda for all your legal needs. Bye. When you have Nanda and associate lawyers, you need not worry. After all, they're known for fast and best results.
We care.
This is the story of the Scarborough waterfront properties. July 22nd, there was an article that came out, I'm sure all of you saw it, in the National Post among others, the highest increase in GTA ever. In this case, in the last 1 year, was over 24 or 25% increase in detached homes in Scarborough waterfront properties. The second biggest increase was in the 22% range. Price increase from June 2015 to June 2014 was about 20% in the Guild. Why am I saying this? Because next week you have an opportunity to buy a piece of this action, of this pie, a piece of this Scarborough waterfront in a condo. If a house went up this much, you can only imagine what the condos will do. Next Wednesday, July 29th at 7 o'clock, you are invited to come for the launch, a private launch of luxury condos in the Scarborough waterfront, Gilwood, the Scarborough Bluffs area. What's in this for you? I've done the calculation. This is Jay Banerjei. Of course, you've seen me over the years. With your 20% deposit, if you are an investor, you can buy with 5 as a first-time buyer. The return on your money after paying the mortgage, maintenance fee, and the taxes is 21% plus. That's if you put your money, if you got $50,000, you put it in the bank, that's fine. You put it into a home, into a condo in this case, that's the return. But here's the best part. You want to hear this? 5% down. With 5% down only, you can hold this condo for the next 2.5 to 3 years. So if you buy a condo for $250,000, you're only putting in $12,500 down within the first 30 days by the end of August, and the rest the builder will finance for you, because usually you gotta put more. So here's the opportunity. Given the circumstances in Scarborough, with a huge dramatic increase in Scarborough waterfront properties in the same area, you've got a Scarborough waterfront condo coming up in 2.5 years. And no, you don't have to put down 15, 20% and tie up your money, but we have gone to the builder, and yes, no other agents can get this for you, because we have made this arrangement for you, our clients, my viewers. And what's better is that on closing, you get a furnished condo, which you may choose to, if you don't want the furnishing, you get a cash back towards your closing. So, as you will see on the screen coming up, in the prime Scarborough neighborhood, surrounded by $1,000,000 homes, with an ROI, a return on investment for 21+% on your money and per year, plus a furnished condo, cash flow positive. And here's the best part, you're only putting in 5% down. Do you have the vision to invest? Do you have $10,000, $12,000, $15,000 that you want to invest in, the rest on closing? Call me at the number on the screen, because this could be your retirement. This could be your children's future, college education, whatever it might be. Call Jay, 647-273-1119, and I will tell you more about it. And you're invited for the VIP event.
Spending money is both a necessity and a pleasure. The problem is that regularly spending too much can lead to big problems in the long run. It's worth taking a moment to stop and look closely at our spending habits in order to figure out ways to avoid overspending. It's easy to do and helps us to steer clear of debt and start saving money. Is overspending a common problem? What are the things that lead people to spend more than they should? Let's find out.
Most unnecessary frivolous thing, junk food. Just buy way too much of that stuff.
Mostly like iced coffee and clothes, I guess. Alcohol, very useless. A lot of money. I spend about $20 or $30 a week just on like food and coffee and stuff.
I would say in excess of $40.
Everyone has a few expenses that can be reduced fairly easily, but making sacrifices doesn't necessarily mean missing out on the things that you value. It's important to figure out what things you want and what things you really need. Take a moment to consider which of your regular purchases are necessary and which are not. This can help you identify and get what you really want. It's usually quite easy to identify the main things we spend too much money on, even if it is only a small amount each time. Take your lunch break at work, for example. Many of us need to visit a cafe or a restaurant, but spending $5 or $10 in this way every day really adds up. This is the kind of spending that can easily be reduced by recognizing that buying a meal is a want rather than a need. There are many ways of cutting down on expenses without having to give up on the things you want. For example, try making a sandwich at home and bringing it with you to work instead of buying it at a cafe. Even $5 a day adds up to a lot of money over time, and the sacrifice we make in order to save is only a small one. When spending and saving, your needs should always be the priority. Identify the most common unnecessary expenses in your daily habits. How often are you eating out each week? Do you impulsively buy items such as clothing, jewelry, and electronic gadgets? Are you regularly buying things you don't need, such as bottled water or lottery tickets? How much do you spend each month at pubs and clubs, health spas, and manicurists? Could you possibly walk, cycle, or use public transit more often? Once you've identified your unnecessary expenses, consider simple and practical ways of reducing or replacing these expenses. It could be something as simple as bringing your own water bottle or renting videos instead of going to the movies. Try leaving your credit cards at home when you go out shopping and making a list of the items you need before you go. Then stick to it. You can set aside a certain amount of money each month for additional spending and indulgences. Do some research on the prices and sleep on it before you make expensive purchases.
Think before you buy and wait like a day before you buy things. I think a good trick would just be not to have any change on you because that usually I see I've changed in my wallet and I'm like, oh look, I'll go buy myself a coffee.
If you're working in a place like downtown, it's so easy to pop up to a restaurant for lunch. But if you're taking sandwiches or food that you prepared at home and you bring it in, not only is it healthier, it's going to be a lot cheaper in the long run.
The $5 you save each day by bringing a sandwich with you instead of buying it at work adds up to at least $25 a week. Over a month, that adds up to $100 in accumulated savings. And by the end of a full year, you could have saved $1,200. That $1,200 can grow even more if you invest the money. For example, let's assume that by investing your savings or using them to pay down your mortgage, you can earn 6% per year on your savings. With a 6% annual investment return, your $1,200 of annual savings can grow to nearly $7,000 in 5 years, $16,000 in 10 years, and $70,000 in 25 years. Paying attention to your daily spending habits can really help. Making even small changes to the way you spend can really add up and make it easy for you to save. Know the difference between your wants and your needs. Spend on your needs first. Avoid making impulse purchases. Even the small amounts you save can grow into big savings over time. To build your financial knowledge, go to your financial toolkit at itpaystoknow.gc.ca.
That's all for this week. I hope you enjoyed our show as much as we enjoyed preparing it for you. Please continue to send me your emails and phone calls. They mean so much to us that you watch our show and that you take the time to write. If you'd like to be a guest on our show or would like to advertise with us, please contact me at 647-979-3220. Let's continue chatting on Twitter and Facebook. Better still, download the app, Chai with Molly app, on your cell phone, on Google Play or iTunes Store. Let me know what you think of it. I look forward to seeing you again next week. Until then, take care of yourselves and continue to be good and kind to a stranger. It's a good thing.